Welcome to the Introduction to Photosynthesis video. In this video we're going to review the reactants and products of photosynthesis, and then we're going to talk about the parts of the chloroplast, which is the organelle that does photosynthesis. And then there's going to be a second video that's going to talk about the role of light in photosynthesis, and then how scientists discovered the role of light in photosynthesis. So first of all, new vocabulary words. There's always new vocabulary words. The first vocabulary word that's here is autotroph. Okay, and autotrophs are organisms. Okay, so autotrophs are organisms that make their own energy. Okay, they do not eat. Okay, they somehow make their own food. Okay, so like plants do not like run up to like the nearest bug and eat it. Okay, plants make energy from the sun. Okay, and so plants are considered autotrophs because they make their own food using energy from the sun. And they're considered to be the producers of the world, or the producers of the biosphere. Okay. Animals, us, we're heterotrophs. Okay, and heterotrophs are organisms that obtain food from their environment. Okay, so when you're hungry, you go outside and you make your and you eat the stuff that's outside. Like you eat cows, you eat salad, which is plants. Okay, you eat food from the environment. You do not make your own food in your body. You might make it outside of your body, but you eat food from the environment. You do not use energy from the sun. So to summarize, autotrophs are organisms that make their own food using energy sources. The one that we're talking about in this PowerPoint and in this next actually exactly a week, is they use the energy from the sun. And animals, us, okay, we're heterotrophs. We obtain food from the environment. So plants, algae, which live in oceans, and other protists, which we don't know what a protist is, but there are single-celled organisms that also live in oceans that are called protists. And some bacteria, okay, are photoautotrophs. And what that means is that they use the energy of sun, okay, to make organic molecules. The organic molecule that they're going to make is our good friend glucose, okay? And they're going to make those organic molecules using the energy from the sun, and also using water and carbon dioxide. In the next week, we're going to see how they do that. Before we talk further about photosynthesis, we're going to compare photosynthesis to respiration. So let's do the respiration reaction first. So respiration, which we've been spending a lot of time on, and you guys just took a quiz on, which I still have to grade over the weekend, is what they call an exothermic reaction. Okay, and the reason why it's exothermic is that it releases energy. It stores that energy in ATP, and we also saw that it releases that energy as heat. In respiration, if you remember what's oxidized, glucose is oxidized. Our good friend glucose up here is oxidized, and if you remember, it gets oxidized to carbon dioxide. That was the first question on the quiz. And what is reduced, if you remember in respiration, oxygen is reduced to water. Okay, we're now going to look at the photosynthesis equation. Okay, if you look at the photosynthesis equation, it's similar to respiration. Okay, if you put these are the products of respiration. If you take a look, the products of respiration are the reactants of photosynthesis, except for the energy. In respiration, the energy is 36 ATP. In photosynthesis, the energy is light. Okay, if you look at the reactants of respiration, the reactants of respiration are glucose and oxygen. And the products of photosynthesis are glucose and oxygen. So if you were going to explain in a sentence the relationship between respiration and photosynthesis, for the most part, the reactants of respiration are the products of photosynthesis, and the products of respiration are the reactants of photosynthesis, except for in respiration we have ATP as the energy, and in photosynthesis we have light. Okay, let's fill out the chart. We'll use green. So photosynthesis is an endothermic reaction. Okay? And the reason why it's an endothermic reaction is it absorbs heat, or absorbs energy. You're absorbing the energy from the light and putting it into glucose. Okay, now, You should be able to see this yourself. What's oxidized in photosynthesis? Well, if you take a look, what's losing hydrogens? If you take a look, water is becoming oxygen. So in respiration, water is oxidized to oxygen. And what's reduced, carbon dioxide, becomes glucose. So carbon dioxide is reduced to glucose. You might see something here. Look at that. Look at that. Very interesting, huh? We're going to learn and you're going to see that photosynthesis is probably the most important reaction on Earth. Without photosynthesis, we wouldn't be here. And the reason why photosynthesis is the most important reaction on Earth is it takes the energy from the sun and produces food. Energy from the sun and produces food. All the energy on Earth, okay, is from the sun. And plants take the energy from the sun and do photosynthesis with it and make food. And then we, as consumers, can eat that food. But all the energy on Earth is due to plants. If the plants die, there's no more food, and we all die. First we would eat each other, but after we ate each other, there would eventually be no more food, and we would all die. So plants, okay, plants are the Earth's complete and only source of energy. And what plants do is they take the energy from the sun, okay, and they do photosynthesis, and they store that energy in organic molecules. And we're going to see that the organic molecule that's going to come into play again is our good friend, glucose. If photosynthesis stops, the world ends. One more thing that we need to talk about before we talk about the structure of the chloroplast is we need to talk about the relationship between photosynthesis and respiration and how one depends on the other. Welcome to the 9th grade lesson of this topic. Okay. So here we have some organism. I don't know. I meant it to be a cow, but I don't think it turned out that way. It kind of looks like a cat, but I meant it to be a cow. I apologize. And cows, or Kaiser, it kind of looks like, they do respiration. So let's say, what does the cat need to do respiration? Okay. Well, the cat needs oxygen. The oxygen is going to go into the, whatever it is. It needs oxygen. What else does it need? Well, it needs glucose. Okay. It's going to eat this leaf. This is the glucose. Okay. Now, interestingly enough, okay, so that's what the animal needs. The animal needs oxygen and glucose. Guess who gives the cat the oxygen and his glucose? Well, plants, when they do photosynthesis, they release oxygen. Okay, and plants, using energy from the sun, okay, make glucose. And the cat can eat it. Okay, now, let's talk about what animals release, okay, when they do respiration. Well, when animals do respiration, okay, they breathe out carbon dioxide. Guess who needs carbon dioxide? Mr. Plant! He needs carbon dioxide to do photosynthesis. And then guess what else animals release when they do respiration? They release water. And guess who needs the water to do photosynthesis? The plant. So, plants and animals are codependent on each other. The animal provides the glucose and the oxygen for photosynthesis, okay? And the plant, I think I said that wrong, let's go back. The animal provides the carbon dioxide and the water for the plant to do photosynthesis, and the plant provides the oxygen and the glucose is made using the energy from the sun, so that the animal can do respiration. So if I would replay that and write that down if you haven't, because that's important. So now we're going to talk briefly about how plants get the things they need for photosynthesis. And if you remember, things that they need from photosynthesis are sun, they need carbon dioxide, and they need water. So they get sun using a pigment known as chlorophyll, okay? And that pigment is located in the leaves of the plants, in the chloroplasts of the plants. You'll see that here, in these cells here, it's these cells that do photosynthesis in the palisade layer, these cells of the leaves, and photosynthesis is only done in the leaves, not in the stem, okay? It's these cells that do photosynthesis in the palisade layer, and they contain chloroplasts, which contain chlorophyll. Carbon dioxide, okay, is obtained from holes in the leaves called stomata. So there are holes in the bottom of a leaf here, okay, and their job is to open and close to let carbon dioxide into the plant from the air. And remember, they're getting the carbon dioxide from us humans. So that's why they tell you it would be healthy to talk to your plants, because when you're talking to your plants, you're releasing carbon dioxide, and then they can get the carbon dioxide in their stomata to do photosynthesis. The last thing that they need is water. Okay, water they get from the roots. Okay, so the roots absorb water. Remember, they have high surface area because of the root hairs. And then the water travels up the stem. Okay, the name of the tube that carries water from the roots in the stem to the leaves is called the xylem. So the job of the xylem, which carries water from the roots in the stem to the leaves. We're going to also talk about phloem. Okay, phloem carries sugar. We're going to talk about that later. Okay, but these are vascular, they call these vascular bundles. And they contain xylem, which carries water, and they contain phloem. They're two tubes. One tube is called xylem, and the other tube is called phloem. The xylem carries water, and the phloem carries sugar. So here, just to summarize for water absorb water through the roots, which then moves to the xylem in the stem, and the xylem brings the water to the leaves. The last thing we got to talk about in this lesson is the structure of the chloroplast. Okay? Like the mitochondria, okay, the chloroplasts have a double membrane. Okay, you see this membrane here, and then you see this membrane here. Okay? They have these stacks of membranes. Okay? These stacks of membranes are called thylakoids. One of them is called a granum. Okay? They also have an inside these thylakoid membranes. The inside of them is called the thylakoid space. Okay? Then outside the inner membrane, we have this liquid spot. This liquid spot is called the stroma. Okay? So we have the thylakoid membrane, and one thylakoid sac is called a granum. Okay? And then outside the thylakoid membranes is the liquid spot, which is called the stroma. Okay, you're going to see that when we do compare photosynthesis to respiration, these parts, we're going to sort of compare them to the mitochondria parts. It's also important to know that it's the thylakoids here, in the chloroplast, that they contain the chlorophyll. Okay, and you're going to see that in the next video about the role of chlorophyll and what chlorophyll does. But it's the thylakoid membranes that contain the chlorophyll. All right, the second video is now going to be ready for you, or it's actually already ready. So watch the second video and then answer the guided questions. Have a good weekend.